All right, so today we're going to dive into what I think is an intriguing technology that many of you may know if you're in the real estate business. It's a company called Matterport, and joining me today is RJ Pittman, who is the CEO. And great to have you, man, on the show. Finally, I'm sorry we had you all scheduled, teed up, and then we had a little snafu, but I'm glad you
I know you
could make time for us.
excited. I'm glad to be here now, though, so I'm happy to be here. Thanks.
Excellent. RJ, let's get into a little bit about Matterport for some of our viewers and listeners. May not necessarily know the full story of Matterport and what it is out there. Kind of give us a rundown.
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, Matterport is a spatial data company, and we turn buildings into data. So that means a lot of things. But as you mentioned, one thing that people certainly know us for is creating these beautiful, dimensionally accurate, photorealistic, 3D digital twins of any home, any building, apartment, hotel, high rise, you name it. And in the early years of Matterport, we were particularly successful in residential real estate and of creating that gold standard for the digital open house. And that has continued to fuel a lot of growth for the company and also an expansion into the broader, what we call built world. And that basically means that this technology of creating these digital twins of buildings extends beyond homes and residential to a whole host of markets and verticals and geographies all over the world.
You know, I look at the Matterport camera when it kind of came onto the scene many years ago, and it was revolutionizing kind of the 3D interior aspect of how a home could be done in the real estate side. But I definitely see this on commercial real estate, also around other applications, which I want to dive into you with, especially around spatial design in the sense of technology being able to kind of transport our modern world or what we see into something that we can interface with on a phone or a device. When you look at kind of the valuation of, let's use commercial real estate right now, because that's a big issue with being able to kind of differentiate. Commercial real estate's struggling a little bit. Where do you see this particular product kind of saying, hey, wait a minute, we can help you really amp up what you're offering to your clients and maybe give you a differentiator? How do you guys do that?
Sure. And you're right. This is a great time for technologies like Matterport that enable remote access, the virtualization of exploring properties. So the first thing that commercial real estate wants today during lockdown, but what this industry has wanted, for the last, several decades, is easy access to the property. So first of all, clients and prospective tenants for commercial real estate, can go visit essentially hundreds of locations without having to leave their home or their office and get in a car to go see it. And it's got to be, precise enough and high enough fidelity that it's as close to the experience of being there in person. And, remember with Matterport, we don't just create fancy photography that gives you sort of a look around panorama experience or a video that you can watch. This is actually real spatial data. So what that means is when you just open up a web browser on your phone or on your computer and go visit a space virtually that's been Matterported, what you're doing is being dropped into a dimensionally accurate digital twin. So that means you can actually take out our little measuring tape, if you will, that's built right into the experience, and you can measure the length of a wall, the height of a ceiling, or even, how large is that, kitchenette in the break room, et cetera, right? And so these are really important pieces of information that the industry needs, and that certainly these, prospective clients need to be able to make a decision, right? And so you can first of all, virtualize that. You can create access to clientele that's exponentially, larger in reach than having to do these sort of in-person, one at a time showings of a property. So just on the promotion side, it's a big deal. The second part of it that you're referring to is a lot of times these are, white box spaces or raw, unfinished, industrial or commercial spaces, and people have a hard time, connecting the dots. Like, will all of my employees fit? How will the desks be laid out? Where's the common areas, and how's the space going to flow? How many conference rooms, etc. And with Matterport, because it's spatial data, once you create that digital twin, we can connect into just about any workflow technology, from Autodesk, such as AutoCAD and Revit, and 3D design and editing tools that make it easy to essentially virtually stage and design your custom furnishings and fit out to a property, all just through a point and click interface and easy to use software, that when you have a finished product, you can actually walk through, in the virtual sense, a fully built out and designed space in a matter of a couple of days. And this is normally something that is very cost prohibitive. It's highly customized if you want to try to even do this, what I might say, manually, to help these clients get an understanding and a vision for maybe what a new headquarters location could look and feel like. We're really making that dead simple.
Yeah, and for our viewers and listeners, we definitely are going to get into the topic of the SPAC. So I want to kind of blow past some of the key elements of where the technology could be used. Let's jump away from real estate, commercial, maybe even residential to a certain extent, and move into other aspects, gaming, other potential technology use cases that you guys are looking to jump into. Where are you going in terms of other markets?
Sure. Perhaps the best way to explain it first is that the strategy that we have undertaken at Matterport in the last couple of years, what we describe as a platform-first business. So what does that mean? Well, we've made our technology more broadly accessible. We call it a horizontal integration. And so we've worked really hard such that the out-of-the-box experience with the Matterport technology can work in virtually any real-world environment, right? I mentioned a few of the other, building types in hospitality, hotels, or high-rise. We're talking about in commercial, but even manufacturing and industrial, and sure, in the entertainment space as well. And the way we approach this is to say, look, we're going to open up our platform. So you can go out and do a reality capture of anything. You could do a corporate campus. You could do a welcome center. Again, you could do some really cool homes and architecture, but we also do points of interest and historical landmarks and that kind of thing. And so you start to kind of step back and say, well, wait a minute, you could create this 3D digital twin of just about any space or any environment. Well, what else could you use that for? Matterport itself isn't going in and pursuing all of the vertical markets directly, but through our platform ecosystem, we're bringing partners in who can tap into our unique spatial data library and do all kinds of interesting things. One of those is, could you take a real-world environment that's been digitized by Matterport and incorporate it into a game like Fortnite or Roblox or Minecraft? And the short answer is, yes, you absolutely can. And we're seeing people experiment with this. Software developers and game development companies are using our technology to create some of these worlds, which, most of these virtual worlds are all computer generated, right? They're sort of fictional fantasy environments from which, games and battles and things are played out. You can imagine a future where those can actually be played out in, familiar places all over the world that start with a digital copy of that environment captured by Matterport.
Okay, so I mean, my mind is kind of exploding here in terms of the application uses that you could go into, other than just kind of the real life side, from a aspect of the technology itself. Because I know you guys have dropped, I think it was is it the Android and the iPhone application where you can utilize essentially kind of the platform. Do you see that kind of opening up the opportunity from a market penetration side, so you don't have to get into purchasing the equipment? How is that going to scale, and where's kind of the future going with that application side?
So one of the most important things for Matterport was to make our technology and this capability of 3D capture accessible to everybody. We call it the democratization of 3D capture. It should be as accessible and as easy to use as taking a photo or a panoramic photo, with your smartphone. And the journey to that destination really began 10 years ago. Matterport's now in its 10th year. We've been at this a long time, much longer than anybody else in the space, and really pioneered this capability. And that began with the Pro 2 camera, which you made mention of earlier. That's our flagship capture device. And it is powerful. It is high fidelity, and it captures millions of 3D data points in a matter of seconds as you're going into an environment, a home or a building or a space, and doing a capture. That entire solution is expensive, right? And so it was really intended for the professional industry, professional photographers, commercial real estate photography, and service providers and the like. And that's great. And that really, again, helped to establish Matterport, leading position in the market. But we knew that if we really wanted to create sort of a universally adopted standard, that we would have to make this not only more accessible, but also more affordable. And so Matterport for iPhone was the first step in that direction. We launched that a year ago, and it's been hugely successful. All you have to do is download the Matterport app to your phone, and you can turn flat photos that you take inside the Matterport app into the same dimensionally accurate 3D models and digital twins that you're able to do with our professional technology and camera. That's a game changer. And the only way that that is possible is not necessarily because Apple and the Android smartphone cameras have gotten better. And by the way, they're stunning, they're incredible. But the reason that it's possible is over the last 10 years, all of the spatial data that we have captured using our Pro camera that has that precise geometry and dimensional accuracy has become what we call training data. The same way that Google's AI is trained by 3 million different scenarios and gameplay of chess to become a grandmaster in chess, in software, we train our algorithms that make those beautiful 3D digital twins using our spatial data from our reference cameras. And that allows us to predict geometry now and to predict and create these beautiful experiences using flat photos that come straight off a smartphone. So 10 years in the making, to get the kind of data to make this really easy and accessible to everybody. And it's helped us scale our customer base over 20x in the last 18 months.
Yeah, I saw your numbers, definitely impressive. If you look at spatial capture for maybe like the special effects industry, I mean, this could literally get into movie making kind of elements. Have you seen any edge use cases going in that direction?
Well, it's very interesting. Now that, the proliferation of Matterport digital twins are just, cutting across, we're in 150 countries now. We've Matterported just about every environment and building type, from recording studios. We've done backlots and sets for movies and TV shows that have all been captured in 3D for a wide variety of purposes. And the industry is starting to now move in Matterport's direction, is meeting us halfway, and all kinds of interesting explorations are going on today. And again, the exciting part about it is most of these companies and these industries can't believe that you can immediately access this spatial data. We've opened up the APIs, the software development kits that allow anybody to customize and create animations and do all sorts of things inside that 3D environment on their own. And we really encourage that. I think that's the power of a platform company, the power of a rich and robust ecosystem. And as you're well pointing out, a lot of potential use cases here. We just want to make it, easy for everybody to get their hands on it.
Yeah, I'm looking at, I'm thinking just on some applications that might be coming in the future. If you look at things like 3D body scanning, facial recognition, the potential to maybe port a, I don't want to say holographic image, but something inside one of these one of these scans. Is there a way in the future that you see the technology being able to interface with other tech that would enable them to interact together other than just being, kind of a static exploration image, anything that where you could actually affect what might be happening. Imagine if you were doing a home tour. We'll keep it simple, just a home tour, much less what you could do in other applications. But you have your own 3D body scan. You want to put yourself in there, and instead of on your phone, maybe it's a VR experience or something like that. What are you guys going in that direction?
I'll tell you, even 2 years ago, we met with some exciting software engineers and VR developers in Europe, and a couple of great startup companies out of Paris, France, were working on exactly this. And they took the Matterport technology, they scanned a few different places, a penthouse apartment in Paris, and then another property in London. And they conducted a truly virtual real estate tours where you could cast not only the broker, but even the buyer or the shopper right into the space. And by just shooting effectively, as you say, a body camera in their direction, and you could have this set up in New York City and one in LA, and you're visiting a property in Paris and another one in London, and the broker is in Brussels. The technology actually works because we're, again, just a framework, but we're data, right? And the most important thing is it's not imagery and photography, but when we bring this down to a common language of spatial data, you can integrate with all kinds of technologies. We have integrations with Facebook's Oculus environment for seamless work there, integration with AR technologies from Android and Apple and iOS for these very purposes. And it's just creating all kinds of unlocks and really interesting explorations from the developer community at large. So I see a lot of potential for this, and not in the distant future, but it's, as that technology matures, it's coming really fast.
Yeah. Okay, so here's a couple more I want to run at you. Virtual store features, the ability to do, your Mattertags, the ability maybe to offer up, I don't want to say, NFT type stuff, but, digital assets that could be utilized in other applications. Any kind of plan for developing essentially a store, or almost think of it as the Google Play Store for Matterport type thing?
Yeah. Well, you mentioned one on retail, and I'll kind of describe it as a direction that we're headed. But and maybe this one was fueled a bit by the pandemic, but one of the fastest growing categories for Matterport that, again, is coming to us is the retailers. And of course, when we're all sheltered in place and a lot of the indoor space is restricted to very little, if any, visitors and shoppers allowed in stores, they were looking for more creative ways to keep commerce moving and going forward. Right. And they got their hands on our technology. You can scan a retail location with an iPhone, or using our professional tech. But even by just downloading the app and going, you can create an entire virtual shopping experience. And in some really exciting ways. Cost Plus World Market has done this, and they did it in a really great way, where they created a full Matterport environment of all of their outdoor furnishings and barbecue equipment and all kinds of cool stuff for the summer. But it's all actually set up outside on a patio of one of their flagship stores. That not all of their stores even have an outdoor patio to lay all of this stuff out and see it in context of actually, being outdoors and being in use, but it's all shoppable. And they use the Mattertags, which is a very simple thing in our editing platform that allows you to go in and just tag any element in the space. Because remember, it's data, so you can tag a chair, you can tag a picnic table, or even a barbecue grill, and then you can integrate using, again, the software platform, e-commerce, a shopping cart, and the like. And they have built one of the most exciting new experiences, totally transforming a physical store into an e-commerce experience that millions of people can go visit and shop now in a way that was never possible before. And it's right on the homepage at Cost Plus World Market. You can go check it out. Really, really interesting use case.
I got to look at that.
we're seeing it. Retailers from all over the world are jumping on the bandwagon now, and it's exciting.
Would this apply to things like inventory management? If you had if you think, I'm thinking of Matterport, just, like a Matterport in the sky type thing for retail, of being able to, whether it's small stores, I'm thinking, let's say Lululemon, and you have the ability to essentially scan what your inventory is real time without having to go through and do a physical inventory. Could you ever get down to that level of detail?
Yes, and it's one of the neat things about the Matterport technology is, in addition to just building that digital twin, we're unlocking what we call spatial data insights, right? What can we tell our clients about the spaces that we've digitized? Well, using computer vision, machine learning, and deep learning algorithms that, again, we've been putting to work for years, now a decade, we can tell you how many tables and chairs are in the the sit down area in a Starbucks, or
Right.
how much merchandise is left on the shelf, and even down to telling you, is that a large coffee mug or a small coffee mug that's left on the shelf for sale, because we have all the geometry and the precise information that not only is it for perfectly reasonable to use Matterport for merchandise management, but also for facilities management as a whole. Just like you said, if I want to use or have a store manager use the iPhone to take the digital
Quick
twin
scan.
update once a week,
Yeah.
or even once a day, you can actually create revision control. How has that space changed over the course of a week, a month, or even a year? And so suddenly, this idea of remote facilities management becomes a convenience and a reality that's all powered by an easy to capture and easy to update digital twin.
Yeah. Are you guys working with the Airbnb teams? Obviously, this would be a huge opportunity in that side of it. And then also, how do you see the competition coming over from companies like Zillow and the likes that are trying to do some similarities to what you guys are doing? What are you seeing in that marketplace?
Sure. So on the travel and hospitality front, it's also one of my favorites and one of the most exciting areas of growth for Matterport, and I think also, frankly, growth for the category as a whole. And the reason I say nightly rentals is this includes hotels as well as Airbnb,
Right.
HomeAway, VRBO, and all of the international versions of these companies as well. Many of them have adopted Matterport. And why is that? Again, we've been at this for a long time now, for many, many years, and the data is in. If you have a Matterport digital twin attached to your online listing for a nightly rental, for an Airbnb, vacation rental, what have you, we move occupancy 14 to 18%.
Yeah.
And that is a big number. That's a big number in anything happening in, modern day internet businesses and e-commerce and the like, and certainly in hospitality. And considering that you can, with your iPhone, scan one property and publish it with all of our, commercial functionality available to you for free, if you scan it, with an iPhone, the ROI is, instantaneous. It's a no-brainer, because with Matterport, we solve a big problem for these nightly rentals, which is people want confidence that what they see in the photos is what they're going to get, especially if they're traveling all the way across the world, maybe for a big family vacation. Is it really as big as the photos look, right? Is the outdoor space, enough to run around, etc.? Well, with Matterport, you know exactly how the space, the home, the structure is laid out in exacting detail. And that is what's giving people the confidence to click, commit and, and make those moves in space. And so our goal has been to do everything that we can, to just make it easy for everybody to add this, just as you would be adding photography, because it moves takes the mystery out of the long tail of all of these interesting and different nightly rentals. To your other question on competition and the like, I think the other part of what's valuable with Matterport is we think about real estate. We think about, at least in the U.S. for the moment, Zillow, Redfin, Realtor, and such. We're a platform that powers properties, right? And
Right.
so first and foremost, our value proposition is to the homeowner or the real estate agent that's trying to help, sell the home or help a buyer buy a home. And then the portals that you mentioned are a place of access, right? So what we want to do is make sure that if you digitize your property with Matterport, that you can find that digital twin on all of the platforms, Zillow, Redfin, Realtor, and the like. And we are there. And we are fairly standardized across all of those. And sure, Zillow and other companies are working on their own versions of trying to make a more immersive experience that goes beyond photography. And I think that's great for Zillow's community, and we run very happily alongside their offering. But with Matterport, we're building something that I think is much broader. You've heard all of the other use cases. We've talked a little bit about our geographic footprint. We're a global business focused on buildings in all the countries around the world. So we're a little bit different, than some of these companies that are uniquely focused around residential real estate. We think we have a lot more to offer.
Yeah, I think just the expansive nature of and I've had a chance to see a lot of the Matterport properties, but I've also had a chance to see some of the destination stuff. It's pretty amazing in terms of just the visualization. I could just only imagine how fast this could advance. What about this? When you look at maybe adding elements to this, and I'm going kind of two directions here. One is, what if you took whether it's commercial or a residential real estate, could you apply time and space? Meaning, I want to move furniture, or I want to change a color of a wall, or the carpet color, or lay down wood floors. What would that space look like? Any kind of plans going in that direction? And then my second question is this real time, and could you ever address autonomy like what a lot of the electric vehicle manufacturers are dealing with right now with such a spatial design and technology that you have playing in that field? What about those two areas?
Sure. Give me the first question again.
So the first one is, can I change things within a property? I want to change colors or furniture, move it, those kind of things.
Yep. As part of the platform, we've brought on some exciting partners that, as a business in their own, do digital virtual staging. And what they've all wanted is to start with, can I get my hands on a reality capture of the actual space that I want to furnish, in this digital or virtual way? And some folks have done it by taking photos and then trying to cut and paste furniture into an empty room. It just doesn't work, right? It doesn't do justice to the property at all. With Matterport, we unlock all of the spatial data of the room and allow any of these developers and space designers and space planners to go right in as if they're there and drop into our 3D models photorealistic, dimensionally accurate furniture from almost any brand and designer. You can't tell that it's cut and pasted in. It even can take on the lighting properties from the outside light that's coming in the space, or overhead lighting that's coming from a light that might have been on when we did the capture, and that is powerful. And so two things are happening today. In the world of selling a home, physically staging a property. Say you moved all of your stuff out and you got a real estate agent says, listen, if you really want to sell the house, you should stage it with staged furniture. That's expensive. I've done it. And if your house sits on the market for too long, you are writing a lot of checks to rent this furniture, until it sells. And imagine if you could do it virtually, but you could also do 5 different styles of furniture and let the buyers or prospective buyers choose based on their preferences. Show me the home in contemporary furnishings and big artwork, or I like traditional with small or no artwork. That would be very difficult, if not impossible, to do in the physical world, but it's point and click, in the Matterport world. And that's happening today. And we go one step further with commercial real estate. Uh, Building owners are taking raw floor plates. In fact, right from World
Right.
Trade Center 3 new towers in New York, and have turned it over to the same virtual stagers who can actually design the entire floor plate out and design in the conference rooms, the work areas, the kitchens, and all of the spaces in between, right down to the artwork on the walls as well. Because you have all of the geometry information, you have all of the 3D information you need to do it.
Right.
And that is a game changer for helping to really move the entire, property industry, and especially commercial real estate right now, much faster through the sales cycle or the rental cycle, because we can connect those dots for prospective tenants in a fraction of the time.
Yeah. Is there a plan for you guys to go to real-time spatial, element in terms of recognition, almost like, true transportation of what's happening into, whether it's into a autonomy system or into a VR mode or into some other application that might be able to give you a resolution on that?
It's an excellent question. There's two different ways to think about as we talk about autonomy. One thing that autonomous vehicles like is a discrete and specific understanding of the environment in which they're operating. Right. So if you're a self-driving car, you'd sensibly like to have a complete model of the entire world, so that wherever you're driving down the road, you anticipate what's around the corner, what's coming up next, when's the next intersection, etc. And much of that, today is data that's being processed in real time, as you go. All of Matterport has been a snapshot in time so far. When we do a reality capture, it is a singular moment. And then now we're allowing, you to create a timeline of doing updates where it's still a moment in time, but maybe it's a, more recent update of a change to a space. Maybe a property was renovated or redecorated, and you have, evolution of it, across a period of time. Matterport itself is not, we're not really focused on building a real-time 3D environment, at least not yet. Today, it's about turning the buildings into data, and then again letting the third parties act on it. One of our investors in the company from the very early stages is the maker of Roomba, the robotic, self-driving, cruising around little vacuum cleaners and scrubbers for your house. And of course, wouldn't it be helpful if these Roombas and other home robots had knowledge of how your space is laid out and where everything is, where you want the Roomba to go and where you want it to avoid. And they're all trying to solve that problem today with onboard learning, mechanisms and measuring capabilities. Well, with Matterport, in a matter of minutes, you could create that blueprint of that environment that could power all kinds of autonomous agents, including drones and things that can fly, in the Z plane as well, not just crawling around on the floor. And so you could imagine going beyond homes and into factories and manufacturing environments where this is actually quite real today and very important. Whether it's a fulfillment center, for a large e-commerce player or something where there's robots and things moving all around the space, or even an auto manufacturer, and having, full precision intelligence of everything that's going on in that environment, it could be critical to optimizing, what's going on inside the space. And that's an area that is also very exciting for us in Matterport, is we create that environment that these robots can be programmed against.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Autonomy meaning outside just the vehicle side. Obviously, you've got the scenario there with potential, robotics in the future, where we could truly see, house case scenarios where you've got a true robot there that needs that kind of spatial engineering, application available to them in their database. Last question, and that is on the SPAC side of things. As you guys near the culmination of the SPAC, for those not knowing what a SPAC is, a special acquisition company. Essentially, it's kind of a reverse merger. of companies that you guys are involved in that you're going to go to a public offering here. How long? What's kind of the status of that currently?
Yeah. I'm really excited about taking Matterport public. And we've got one of the best partners in this journey. And we chose the SPAC route very specifically from a number of choices we had to capitalize the company and even take it public. And our partnership with Gores Group is second to none. They're experts in this category. They've been doing SPAC investing long before it became, popularized in technology. So they're bringing tremendous industry experience, unlike any other in the game, as well as, some of the best technology investors that come straight from Silicon Valley, straight from Google and SoftBank and the like, that fundamentally understand the space that Matterport is in, this broader prop tech category, if you will. And you put all of those things together and you get something far better than a traditional IPO. You get a force multiplier here that's bringing us to market with momentum. And I would say it's a big strategic advantage. We announced that deal in February. It's fantastic. It's going to really allow Matterport to scale, dramatically across the global theater and really achieve our true ambitions of digitizing the built world. And, we're on track. It's been moving very quickly. The SPAC process is very efficient if you manage it correctly, which we've done. And we're anticipating trading as a public company late spring, early summer. It's right around the corner.
Yeah, sounds like it. I can't wait to see that hit the IPO market for sure. It's going to be interesting to see how things go, especially with all the tech that you guys are rolling out, the growth of the company itself. You guys have been doing a fantastic job. RJ, it's been great having you on the show. Thank you so much for stopping in today. We appreciate it.
Great to be here. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
You bet. All right, so you guys are listening in over on the podcast. As you know, we kind of cover a lot of tech topics, crypto, AI, and of course, a lot of things when it dives into technology as it might affect you and your future, especially around investing and some of the things from a financial standpoint. So make sure and subscribe to the podcast, give us a rating over there. But if you are watching this here on YouTube right now, just hit the like button, spread this to someone you know and say, hey, check out Paul's show. It's fantastic. And of course, hit the bell so you can get more notifications on when we put up new content. We've got a lot of new stuff heading out in the next few weeks on more innovative technologies and also cryptocurrency. So stay tuned for all that. If you guys have an idea for a show in terms of an interview or a topic you want us to do a deep dive on, we call those market movers. You can send us a note to producer at reverendnetworks.com, or also hit me up on Twitter at Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.